This is how you know that Hegseth is in deep shit. They have called in the Russian media group crowd, the Tenet media folks, to run interference. What? What the skateboard? Democrats lose it over alleged second signal leak. DOD fires leakers. Okay, again, if it's alleged, then they're not leakers. They're not leakers. I mean, or it's true. If it's not alleged, if they're leakers. If they leaked it, it's true. If they lied about it, then say so. Also, Democrats lose it. I think Democrats are finally getting it. I think they're finally grasping. They might have lost the reins of how to fucking start dealing with Trump in the modern era, and this is one of the ways they're getting him back. And again, the question isn't are Dems losing it over the alleged signal leak? The question is, why aren't you? Why doesn't this bother you? If you give a shit about the lives of our soldiers, if you have any sense of patriotism whatsoever, this asshole endangered their lives and you don't give a shit. I don't know why you think you get points for that. Is anybody? Anybody? Let's find out what Dimpool says.
I'd like to apologize in advance to all of you that the corporate press is running this narrative again because I'm pretty sure nobody cares.
Okay, you're apologizing that they're covering it because nobody cares about it, which is why you've got to do the story about it. Couldn't be that you got a memo saying, hey, can you make this a non-story because that's our angle. Nobody cares. Old news, nobody cares. That's the directive you've gotten. Because I got to say, that this does not seem like an organic take. I mean, maybe it's because I have the ability to reason and form complete sentences. If you're a complete fuckhead, maybe this is what happens. This is what occurs in your brain and leaps from your face. But I don't buy it.
The story is that Pete Hegseth has shared details of an attack again.
Details. Well, fancy. I'm not familiar with details. Is that a French word?
In a signal chat. And now I largely think this is a non-story.
You largely think it's a non-story? Well, then why cover it? If you largely think it's a non-story, maybe you largely think there's a seed of something fucked up here, and if you don't cover it, people will realize that you've been, I guess, hiding something, and so you'd rather be seen licking Trump's ass.
I don't think it's that there's literally nothing wrong with what they did. I just think...
Okay, so there literally is something wrong with what they did. Okay, good place to start.
It has little to no impact on anything going on that we should be caring about.
Well, yeah, you're not in the military. You're not in an airplane flying over Houthi anti-aircraft batteries. Why would you give a fuck? You're not related to anybody in any of those planes. You weren't down there as Trump skipped the return of the bodies from Lithuania, right? You don't care. Why should you?
To give you the gist of the story, for those of you mostly know about Signalgate because the corporate press would not shut up about it.
Well, make the case that they should.
They accidentally added a journalist into a chat they were using on Signal where they were discussing some minor details relating to an attack on Yemen. I say,
oh, the minor details. Yes. The attack time, the weapons involved, when they would arrive, the entire strategy. Yeah, minor details.
Details because there were details. Excuse me.
Yeah. All right.
It wasn't like they were naming people or anything like that. It was...
Yeah, they didn't give the pilots names. And honest to God, I don't think the Houthis had a personal beef with any of the pilots. I think they would be happy to generically blow them out of the sky. Fuckhead. What in the world?
We're going to be doing this strike. We've got these vehicles. Here's why we're doing it.
These vehicles. Yes, that's what it is. We had a couple of Jeeps and guys in the backs with hand grenades. We have a couple of vehicles. Fucking vehicles. I'm just saying, if you're going to spend some of that sweet DOD money buying lies from dipshits online, I gotta think there's somebody better at it out there, right? Somebody's got to talk to Hegseth. Maybe that's what happened. Then they fired the dude who was, or he left on his own, who was the spokesperson. That was the guy who doled out the cash to the people who, really can push back on this stuff. And they're like, I don't know. We got I got 35 cents. Like, that's enough for Tim Pool.
And I thought it was kind of a weird message anyway, because they didn't use shorthand and they were saying very vanilla things about their views. So be it. It shouldn't have happened. Fine.
Oh, okay. The vanilla things about their views. Again, this is previous to when the crime happened. This is when they're discussing like tariffs. They're discussing, the upcoming attack. They're talking about Iran and some other things, and Europe, and whether or not, the Ukraine deal, just kind of generic back and forth stuff that they shouldn't be sharing, because any world government would want to know what the deliberations sound like inside the White House, so they shouldn't be sharing it there anyways. But it was Hegseth that added the attack plans to it. That's what made it fucked up. Even adding Goldberg wasn't a big deal until Hegseth fucked up.
But what's the worst case scenario in this Signalgate story?
The reporter in the first one calls to get a confirmation from somebody. Their phone is tapped. The Iranians have it tapped, and they give that information to the Houthis. They know within a couple of hours when our planes are going to be overhead and what path they'll be on, and they kill them. They kill the pilots, and they blow the planes out of the sky. The other one would be is that his wife, who works at Fox News, tips off somebody at Fox News so they can be ahead of the story to give them an intro to this, or any of the other number of 13 fucking people that were in this chat where he gave out the same information, none of whom of those people were in the actual administration. And one of those assholes calls somebody for confirmation, or spreads it, or mentions it to somebody else, and their phone is tapped, or their their other chat isn't encrypted, and that information gets out that way, and our pilots die that way. There it is. And that's not even the worst of the worst. I mean, they could also maybe figure out how long the planes took to get there. They would know the positions of our ships exactly.
If somebody's driving a car and they spill a hot coffee and they hit an old lady and the old lady dies, you're getting in trouble, right? That person's going to get in trouble.
Yeah. What if, follow me on this. What if that old lady is in the witness relocation program, and you tell somebody that knows she's in the program, figures it out, and passes that on to somebody who wants her dead, and that's why she's in it in the first place. And as she's driving down the highway, they pull up next to her and they throw hot coffee in her face and make her wreck her car and die. It's a better analogy.
It was bad. It was an accident, but it's still bad. You're in trouble. If you're driving your car and you spill a hot coffee and you swerve and then pull over and nobody gets hurt, you probably won't even get a ticket.
What if you won't stop pouring coffee in your hot lap because you get sexually excited by it, and you keep driving through intersections, and it's only by the luck of the draw that these two intersections nobody died, because it was the same intersection from two angles, the two cameras. But in the next intersection, nobody stops you and you kill someone. You're still allowed to drive. You don't pull over. By the way, pulling over would mean he leaves. He steps down.
Cop sees it, he might say, hey, what happened? He says, I spilled my coffee. Say, well, don't do it again.
Yeah, that's what cops say. Don't spill your coffee again.
Penalty. And that's the point.
No, it's not. This is a fucking stupid analogy, top to tails. This is just dumb. God damn.
Gate had no deep ramifications.
Look, it didn't, luckily the reporter that he accidentally added to it had morals, even though Trump said he was a scumbag and the lowest of the low. By the rest of the world standards, he was an honorable man and didn't share that information with anybody that could have, that maybe had an Iranian phone tap, and therefore he didn't call and check with anybody. He was aware that those details were should be classified, even if fucking Hegseth wasn't, and we lucked out. Why would you want somebody who is this fucking stupid in a situation where they could fuck up again?
Ran this story ad nauseum, and now they're trying to reignite the stupid story again, which is largely meaningless.
Well, if you don't care if soldiers die, sure.
Now, there's a minor detail in it. Here's how I say it.
This is how you say it. That's a little Freudian slip right there. It's not how you see it. It's how you say it. It's what you're being paid to say. Gotcha. Okay.
If I was going to be talking about DOD operations or whatever, we would never run a story about this like, oh my God, I can't believe Pete Hegseth did this. We'd passively mention it like, yeah, you probably shouldn't do it, but...
Yeah, you'll kiss his ass and lick Trump's. I get it. Yeah, of course. Because they pay you in blow, I guess? Is that what we're supposed to... If you know what I'm saying?
They've got nothing on this guy. And if the best thing can muster up is that he texted some people and he maybe shouldn't have, but nothing bad happened, then
then why do we have... I mean, again, do we only charge people if they spread classified information if somebody dies in the process, or that you can tell that somebody dies in the process? Is that the standard now?
we got a pretty good SecDef. Here's a story.
No, you don't.
New York Times. They say Hegseth said to have shared attack details in second signal chat. Oh, heavens me.
Just dismissive of it, just straight out of the gate. Oh, heavens me, a second signal chat. One that does not involve administration officials.
That Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared detailed information about forthcoming strikes in Yemen on March 15th in a private Signal group chat that included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer, according to 4 people with knowledge of the chat.
Also, are you just itching for blow right now? What is happening? What is this? What's that about? Is it just dry in the studio and your nostril hurts?
Wonder if the 4 people with knowledge of the chat include any of the individuals who were recently fired. Top
No.
officials under Hegseth.
Those guys are in the first chat, stupid.
Fired amid leak probe. Indeed. They say...
yeah, if it's no big deal, why are they being fired? If it's not a big deal.
2.
And why'd you jump ship from the other story so quick about the second signal chat? Why go back to the first signal chat story and the investigation that came from it that has resulted in 4 people being fired and 1 guy quitting?
They say DOD officials under Secretary Hegseth, who were previously placed on administrative leave, have been fired. The DOD has faced heavy scrutiny recently after Hegseth and other top Trump cabinet officials engaged in a Signal group chat, which included a journalist discussing imminent war plans. I would say attack plans because there's no war, but you're picking hairs. Signal is an encrypted app.
Could soldiers die because their plans get out before they're actually arriving at the battle zone? Yeah, then who gives a fuck? Shut up.
Know this? Hegseth has repeatedly rebuked the initial report from Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about it. They were discussing their views on a military strike.
Nope. Nobody cares about their views, asshole. Again, run-of-the-mill political scandal. It was Hegseth that fucked up. Hegseth put the actual attack plans in there before they were implemented, as they were given a go.
We're using war in this regard in a semantic argument. That is, do they mean war as in we're in an active war and these are the plans to carry out during that war? Or was it attack plans on a target? In which case, some people would say that's war.
Or are you turd polishing like an asshole right now? Are you just doing everything you can to cover for this dickhead? I'm sorry, you were saying something about Hunter Biden's laptop and, I don't know, China money.
And then they try and say, no, not war because we didn't declare it. Well, we get, like, it's silly. Attack plans, war plans, a pointless distinction, in my opinion. Like, in some contexts, it maybe does make sense. If we've got plans to declare war and that gets leaked out, that's very, very bad.
Do you think Trump thinks we're at war with the Houthis? Undeclared war? Of course. Does he think it belongs under the purview of the war on terror? Are we carrying out the war on terror when we're fighting against the Houthis, which are not a Yemeni army? They've taken over the southern part of the country, so they are defined as a terrorist group, especially Trump just reassigned them their terrorist group moniker, right?
An active conflict already.
Okay, who's fucking splitting hairs at this point? I mean, I guess this is what Tim Pool tossing Hegseth salad sounds like.
Should be declared as a war, but isn't. Then we get it. The bigger issue here is that who cares That's the bigger issue, I guess. This is but
who cares if our soldiers get shot out of the sky because this motherfucker can't stop bragging like a boastful prick on unsecure apps?
Hey, don't get mad at me. It's like the biggest story in the country, apparently. I mean, the Pope passed away, rest in peace. This is like the second or third biggest story. Mr. Hegseth's wife, Jennifer, a former Fox News producer, is not a Defense Department employee, but has traveled with him overseas. They say that his brother Phil and Tim Parlatore, who continue to serve as his personal lawyer, both have jobs in the Pentagon. But it's not clear why either would need to know about upcoming military strikes aimed at Houthis in Yemen. Because the story may be fake.
That's what it is. Yeah. Because the story may be fake. Okay, then why are you covering it? Why don't you just hang out and see if it works out? Because you know it isn't. And because you got a fucking phone call.
They're trying to drum up a reason to get rid of Pete Hegseth, and this story may be bunk nonsense.
Why isn't the first one bad enough to punt this motherfucker? I guarantee the second story isn't fake. And there are worse ones to come. Because the dude's a fuck up. But hey, throw your fucking lot in with Hegseth.
Here we have 4 anonymous individuals.
Nope.
Why should I believe the New York Times on anything? Okay.
Because they've been right so far?
If the New York Times comes out and says, here's a video of thing happening, I say, okay. If they come out and they say, here's a quote from a guy, I say, okay. Now, that video may be out of context, and that quote may be out of context too. But when they come out and they say, some anonymous people have made a claim, I go, oh yeah? Okay, well, I'll tell you this. Some anonymous people have claimed to me that Nancy Pelosi was engaged in illegal felony insider trading.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. You're just, there's a difference between them saying there are people who are anonymous because they are a source and we are protecting them because of that. There is no one who came and told you that, this is on the QT, Nancy Pelosi made a shit ton of money. He's making it up. So the point is, yours is a fantasy story. The New York Times is an actual news organization, and you are comparing those two things.
And is it drunk? Is it drunk? Anonymous sources. I wonder who they may be. I don't know. It was some guy on X. His name was, Jim Bob 5936123.
Well, then that's not anonymous. You got it from an X account.
He's an anonymous source.
No, he isn't. He's got a social media handle you're getting information from. That's not how anonymous sources work.
Like, am I supposed to consider that?
No, you're supposed to go, I got this from this dude, Joe Bob 1564 or whatever, and people can take it or leave it based on the idea that you heard it from some dickhead with no information on Twitter, versus a trusted source like the New York Times and the anonymous sources that they have had in the past and how those have checked out. And you can have a difference of opinion about it, but they are nowhere close to the same thing as you just reading something from an account you don't know on X.
This is why I don't trust anonymous sources.
No, you are being paid not to trust anonymous sources, is my opinion.
Because I kid you not, I could say something like, Nancy Pelosi is a drug-abusing deviant who kicked a dog, according to a source close to her office. And the close to her office is the homeless guy who sits behind it. Hey, I said he was close to her office, and he's an anonymous source. But you try to trick people into thinking that this person has some kind of insider knowledge. They said, according to 4 people with knowledge of the chat. What does that mean?
It means there are 13 people in the chat, and then there are other people around him that know he has it.
Knowledge of the chat could be they...
Right. Hey, asshole, we played this game before with the last story. And what happened? They showed it. The Atlantic, Goldberg went, okay, they said it's not classified. Here's what they fucking said. And it was verified by the DOD.
Briefly, or Pete Hegseth went, yeah, I'm in a group chat with my wife. And they go, whoa, I bet he's talking about war plans.
Yeah, no. That wouldn't be enough.
Report that to the New York Times. Who
also keep selling that.
Cares, okay?
I don't know why you're covering it then. Just wait. I'm sure it'll all work out.
The bigger questions we have going on in this country are the state of illegal immigration, the state of mass deportation.
What mass deportations? What mass deportations? The Trump administration is on track to deport fewer people than Biden did in his last year. What mass deportations? Maybe that's the state you're talking about.
Questions are, why are we engaging in strikes against a country we're not at war with? Or how about this one? Why are they using Signal at all? These are public records that should not be disappeared.
Yeah, that's all been part of that conversation. Yeah.
Now, I got to say, if you think that they're retaining all their records, I don't care if it's Trump, Hillary, or Biden, or whoever else, I got a bridge to sell you.
So your excuse for Hegseth is that everybody's a crook, so who gives a shit if he is? You don't have any standards whatsoever. Fuck the soldiers in the sky. If they get shot down, I mean, yeah, you buy the ticket, you take the ride. That's how it goes. That's the standard. Fuck our soldiers, saith Tim Pool.
They're going to mention that the threat revealed by Atlantic. Oh, blah, blah, blah. The Signalgate. Ah, man. I got to be honest, guys. I do not want to do this story, okay? Because I doubt anybody even actually cares about it.
Huh. But you're being paid to? You're being told to? You got a phone call about it? And the whole idea is they said, hey, the important thing is, the most important part of the story is pretend it's not shit. It doesn't matter. That's all you got to say. It's just boring. It's not real. It's no big deal. And that's the storyline. That's the propaganda you're in charge of pushing. It doesn't matter. If we lose a couple of soldiers in the air, or we get, some of our troop positions given away eventually by this asshole, it won't matter. It'll never blow back on you. It'll be his fault. But in the interim, all you got to say is there's no there. And then just forget about it. Move on to the next big shiny thing.
Apparently, it is a top trending story, and they're trying to fire. They want to get him fired.
Who's they? Oh, you mean Susie Wiles?
Rumors are popping up in the corporate press that...
In the corporate press. Rumors are popping up in the corporate press. Those rumors would not be within the corporate press. They would be of what's going on in the Pentagon or the White House, allegedly.
Seth is in trouble, that the DOD is in chaos, and Trump wants to fire him. And
I don't know about the wants to firing. Might need to is part of the story. And the chaos stuff comes from his spokesperson who stepped down, who is not anonymous at all, wrote an op-ed in Politico.
Really doubt it. Trump fought really hard for this guy.
Right, and he still only squeaked over the line, 51-49. He's a fuck up.
There were easier picks, but this is the guy that Trump wanted.
What easier picks? Like who? Like who? Name one. Did Trump have a long list? Or did he just settle on he owed people at Fox News and Hegseth looked the part?
Of course, they're going to try and run these stories to force Trump's hand. I don't
Why would it?
see it ever getting anywhere.
Well, that's because you don't give a shit, right?
What they do, my friends. Hope you're paying attention to this one. They want to create public pressure to damage squishy Republicans. So what they want with the Abrego Garcia story, the mass deportation story in this, is so that when a Republican goes to his constituents and says, we are doing good, we are literally we're doing good and we're doing it well, right? See,
Yeah, but that's not true, but okay.
Purpose. The constituents go, yeah, but Hegseth, it's a signal chat. They want people to be angry for nonsensical reasons, which is,
Well, I mean, I don't know how you can help that. If people are stupid, is what you're saying, is that their constituents are full of squishy Republicans who are stupid and will care about nonsensical things that you have determined are nonsensical, but somehow they seem to think are important. I don't know. Maybe, just maybe, Tim, let me present this as a concept, that they have children in the military. Perhaps they have husbands, wives, relatives in the military, and they would rather not have a SecDef that leaks their fucking attack plans while they're over hostile territory.
the annoying thing about the Democrats.
Is all this giving a shit that we do.
When I see Democrats running these narratives where they're saying things like, Trump is doing, he deported a Maryland father, and you're as annoyed as I am. Because I see my friends post this stuff, and I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah, it is. His kids are American citizens. His wife's an American citizen. He lives in Maryland.
It's not true. The scary thing is they think what we're saying is not true, but we're actually posting the court documents. And they're lying. So what I can say about Signalgate, it's bad. It shouldn't have happened. Are we going to cry about it? No. It's like I said, no one actually got hurt.
Right. They could have, and they could in the future because Pete Hegseth apparently has learned fucking nothing.
This is an issue of, wow, Pete, I guess don't do it again. Anyway, moving on. Instead, these people have talked about it for a month. Now, what I will say is Democrats, I think, are getting desperate to get off the Kilmar story.
No. Van Allen just went down there. 4 Democratic House members just went down there on their own dime. I think that's just building up as well.
Senator Van Hollen has come out and said, no, this trip isn't about defending our Abrego Garcia. Uh-oh, the polls are coming in. They're starting to figure out that the American people don't want to hear that Democrats are defending criminals.
They're not. They're defending the rule of law, stupid.
And they are.
No, they're not. And also prove he's a criminal in a court of law. Besides the fact that he came into the country illegally, which is an equal crime to murder and theft and the like. Yeah, that's the...
I want to hear how people are going to get how Congress will get prices down, how they'll get houses for Gen Z. I mean, Gen Z's thinking that.
Right, and Trump's not interested at all.
Wondering how you're going to fix our economy and secure our nation. Not
right. I'm sorry, I thought Trump was going to do that in like an hour.
Whether or not you saved a violent wife-beating gang member, and they know it.
I don't even think the goal is to save him. The goal is that he goes through proper legal channels so that we still exist as a country.
They've got to get off this story.
No, they don't. No, they really don't.
Here we go. Pete Hegseth, Signalgate. Really? Is this the best you've got?
No. This is his fuck up, not anybody else's. This is an unforced error.
Holy crap, man. If this is the best you've got, I think Trump's got smooth sailing from here.
Well, all right. I think that settles it then. You heard it right from Tim Drool himself, ladies and gentlemen. It's all you need to know. It's all you need to know. It's like that's a non-story. Nobody cares, honestly. And so, what are you gonna do? You know, it's such a meaningless story that he's got to cover it and remind you that it's a meaningless story.